Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at our high stakes of sweepstakes for kids. Uh, I am Rashida Gordon, counsel at BBB National Programs, and we also have Debra Policarpo. Next slide. All right, so for housekeeping, sorry, I know we're having some sound issues. Give us 1 second.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah, my apologies. I was having some sound issues when I came on. So we're at the housekeeping. If you need technical help, please email events@bbbnp.org. We will try to get to your questions that you enter in the Q&A box at the end. But if we don't, we will be collecting them and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And again, since I missed the beginning, next slide, please. I am Debra Policarpo, Senior Counsel with CARU, and I'm presenting today with my colleague, Rashida Gordon. Next slide, please. So just a brief backgrounder on the Children's Advertising Review Unit, or CARU. CARU is part of BBB National Programs, where companies, industry experts, and trade associations work together within a self-regulatory environment to foster industry best practices in truth in advertising, child-directed marketing, data privacy, and dispute resolution. CARU was established in 1974 to support self-regulation in the children's advertising industry and to promote responsible advertising to children. CARU is also the nation's first safe harbor program under the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since CARU frequently sees sweepstakes and contests and pre-screens, we wanted to mention that CARU offers pre-screen services in which we review your ads from concept to final cut to help your company spot and correct advertising and privacy issues before ads, contests, and promotional websites go live. Next slide, please. So at the outset, we wanted to level set and make sure that you are aware that there are federal and state lottery laws that regulate all promotions of this nature, not just for those under 13. Generally, for a sweepstakes or contest to be legal, it cannot have all of the following 3 elements: prize, chance, and consideration. In a nutshell, that means that in order to be legal, a promotion must omit one of these 3 elements. For a sweepstakes, advertisers generally omit the requirement of consideration because you have a prize and you have the chance element. It's going to be randomly drawn, so you cannot have the consideration element. The consideration element can be something financial, for instance, requiring users to make a purchase or requiring them to spend considerable time or effort in order to enter. This can be in the form of creating a social media account and requiring users to like and follow the brand for a significant period of time in order to even enter, or in gamifying sweepstakes that requires users to spend large amounts of time playing the game just to get to a certain level before they can enter. There's no black and white line between what the FTC and state AGs may regard as consideration, so just be mindful of it when designing your sweepstakes. The basic difference between a sweepstakes and contest is that a sweepstakes is a promotion in which a prize is awarded on the basis of chance. So basically you have a random drawing. On the other hand, a contest is when a prize is awarded on the basis of skill. So you may require users to draw a picture, sing a song, write a poem, which will be judged by a judging panel. So in a contest, you can have a purchase requirement because you're omitting the element of chance. We also want you to be mindful, and we see this a lot with influencers where they're calling everything on their social media accounts as giveaways. Don't be fooled by the language. Giveaways are the same as sweepstakes, contests, etc., and they all have to abide by the same relevant rules and regulations, whether they're state lottery laws, FTC, etc. So we just wanted you to be aware of that. Don't get confused. A giveaway is just another name for a sweepstakes or a contest. Next slide, please. So for children under 13, there are some considerations to keep in mind when you're designing and developing your sweepstakes or contest, such as COPPA and the CARU advertising and privacy guidelines. For instance, make sure you are making it clear to children that your giveaway or sweepstakes is advertising. Again, whatever you're going to call it, giveaway, promotion, sweepstakes, contests, they are all advertising, and it must be made clear to children through clear and unavoidable disclosures. Also, make sure the details of your promotion are clear to children, meaning it does not contain legalese. Make your prizes, odds of winning, entry methods, etc., clear to children in language they will understand. Do not mislead or deceive kids in your giveaway. Also, do not drive or encourage kids under 13 to share or require them to enter a sweepstakes or contest on social media platforms that are not intended for kids. For sweepstakes and contests directed to kids under 13, be mindful not to require or encourage social sharing to enter the promotion. Last, do not collect personally identifiable information, or PII, without first obtaining verifiable parental consent, or VPC. We're going to get into those in right on the next slide with the COPPA specifics. Next slide, please. So here are some COPPA basics for you to keep in mind. COPPA applies only to the online collection of information. This applies to websites, apps, games, QR codes on packaging that directs to a URL, etc. We'll speak more about QR codes during our mock ad. Personal information under COPPA includes full name, email, street address, phone numbers, photos, videos, audio recordings, and persistent identifiers for tracking precise geolocation data. Another question we frequently get is whether you can collect entries from children without having to obtain VPC. COPPA has a one-time use exception where you can collect an email address from a child without having to get VPC, so long as it's not combined with any other personal information. For instance, you can ask for a child's first name and email address, only the first name, not the full name, for entry into the sweepstakes, and then only contact that child once the sweepstakes ends in order to notify them if they have won or lost. Once the sweepstakes is over, you must delete the child's email address. And remember, while the sweepstakes is ongoing, you must secure the child's information or hash it. If you need VPC, if you wish to collect any information from children beyond online contact information that I just mentioned, the first name or email, in connection with your sweepstakes entries, such as collecting a winner's home address to mail a prize, you must first provide parents with direct notice and obtain VPC. If you do need VPC under COPPA, you can collect a parent's email, but not together with other personal information, such as a kid's full name or email address. Also, consider if your online promotion is going to be mixed audience, meaning it is going to be directed or appealing to kids over and under 13. You can age screen to provide COPPA protections for younger kids, but not to exclude them. You may also want to consider separate experiences, prizes, etc. for those under 13 and those over 13. Next slide, please. So, putting all these concepts together, here are some issues that we recommend you keep in mind when designing a sweepstakes or contest for kids. First, know your audience. Ask, are your primary participants under 13? If so, you must consider COPPA in the CARU advertising and privacy guidelines. Is it likely a mixed audience? Are you going to have over and under 13s entering? If so, you may want to consider different experiences, prizes, and calls to action for those under 13 and those over 13. Remember, if it's mixed audience, you can age screen so long as it's neutral and it's not used to exclude those under 13, only to provide certain protections for them. Consider the type of promotion you're going to run. Is it a contest where you're asking children to submit content, such as a selfie or an audio recording? Remember, if you're asking for a child's personal information, such as a photo, video, or audio, you will need to collect verifiable parental consent. Is it a sweepstakes where winning is based on chance, such as a random draw? If so, then we suggest you collect as little information as possible. We highly encourage data minimization, especially regarding children. It will create much less of a privacy and security hassle for you and your company. Consider your submissions. How will you collect submissions, and what personal information do you really need to collect for prize and entry fulfillment? Can you structure the sweepstakes in a way that you can tell children not to include personal information, such as their full name, address, or a picture of themselves? Remember, if you can see a child's face or hear a child's voice in the submission, The content is considered personal information, and for kids under 13, you will need to obtain verifiable parental consent. Last, consider your prizes. What are the prizes you will award, and how will you award them? Are the prizes going to be awarded virtually, or will they be delivered to a physical address? Are prizes going only to a small percentage of entrants or to everyone? Based on this information, you'll be able to determine what you need to collect. If you don't need full name, address, or other personal information for entry or prize fulfillment, then don't collect it. For example, if the prize is to be delivered virtually, you don't really need full name, street address, etc. Another example, if only some entrants will get a prize delivered to their home, does it make sense to collect personal information up front from everyone entering, or only once the winners are identified, so you're only collecting from a smaller group instead of collecting from everyone? Again, this will create much less of a hassle and potential privacy and security issues for you and your company. Also, consider whether the prizes you're offering are appropriate for kids. For instance, are you offering a prize of a lifetime supply of soda? It's probably not appropriate for children. Also, consider whether the platform you may be using for entry and prize fulfillment purposes is appropriate for kids. CARU can help you with these issues and considerations. Please just scan the QR code above to learn more about our pre-screened services or when you receive the deck. So with these basics in mind, we are going to present you with a mock giveaway promotion. With the huge popularity of influencers, and specifically child influencers, we are going to take you through a mock giveaway with a child influencer on a popular social media platform, and we'll discuss the issues and concerns we see. Rashida, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Deb. Next slide, please. Meet Barry. She's a bright and bubbly kid influencer and content creator with over 500,000 followers. She's a gamer that loves to snack, which she's incorporated as a component of her streams. On the screen, we have a screenshot of Barry's live stream where she has about 6,500 viewers tuned in. We also see a few comments from some of her fans, nicknamed Barry's Besties. Barry interacts frequently with her besties during her streams. Her besties often request that she try their favorite snacks during their streams and rate them. Barry is known for being super authentic and friendly, and her besties feel really close to her. Barry just announced a new line of fruit snacks she's launching called Barry's Very Very Snacks. On the product packaging, underneath the purple mixed berry text, it says, only 3 ingredients, super healthy, all natural. There's also a pink ribbon at the bottom that says super healthy. In addition to the fruit snacks, Barry also announced the Very Berry Sweepstakes, which we see in the black box on the bottom right, which says, win a lifetime supply of Barry's Very Berry Snacks and a chance to appear in a video with me. Scan the QR code and upload your selfie eating Barry's Very Berry Snacks. Unlimited chances to win. So before we get into the issues that we packed in, we wanted to pause and give you all a few moments to issue spot and list any issues that you've identified in the chat. All right, seeing no takers, we can jump into the issues here. So next slide, please. Okay, so here we are getting into the parasocial relationship dynamic. We have a few comments from various besties here. Soccer Malcolm, 2013, says, I want to be like you when I grow up. Max the Beagle, 2010, my best friend is my dog. We love at Barry's Very Very Snacks. Panda Fan, Kiki08, I want to be on your live. I watch you every day. 5 heart emojis. And Sarah Without the H, 2014. I hope I win. We love you so much. Can my sister come? Now, although there's nothing inherently wrong with parasocial relationships, we wanted to mention a few things worth considering. With a child audience, there's a certain amount of vulnerability and susceptibility when it comes to things such as blindly believing any and all claims made by their favorite influencer. Remember, children do not understand puffery. Also, children may feel compelled to simply share photos and other personal information about themselves unprompted because they feel super close to Barry and they might actually view her as their literal bestie. So, yeah, that's an issue there. Next slide, please. All right, here we are drawing attention to the packaging itself. Underneath the mixed berry text, it says only 3 ingredients, super healthy, all natural. And then we also see the pink ribbon here that says super healthy. The question here is whether any of those claims can be substantiated. And this also ties into the parasocial dynamic issues since her fans are likely to believe anything that Barry says at face value. Because after all, if Barry is known for being super authentic, there's absolutely no way that she would go to the internet and like lie about something, right? Hopefully so. Next slide, please. All right, so now let's take a look at the subscribe now button and the call to action. The subscribe now button, which probably does not rise to the level of consideration, but it's important to be careful to not require too much time and effort to be able to enter. So let's look at this call to action. The opportunity to win a lifetime supply of berry snacks and appear in a video. It's unclear what counts as a lifetime supply, and depending on how the math shakes out, there may be an overconsumption issue here. Also, the chance to appear in a video, not only is the type of appearance unclear, but it also is not apparent how much, if any, personal information will be shared. The upload selfie requirement, there are some PII issues here. As we know, photos are considered personal information, and given the young age of Barry's audience, it's likely that this would require BPC. As you've guessed, there are also several issues with the QR code, which we will discuss more in the next slide. Next slide, please. All right, so here we have a split screen. On the left, we have another snapshot of the live stream with the QR code and text that says, scan me, and hey kids, scan to win. On the right, we have Barry's Very Snacks website, which we will discuss in a bit. So the left side of the screen. We'll dive into the issues with the QR code and privacy aspects to consider. One thing that jumps out immediately is the lack of a disclaimer. Hey kids, this is advertising. Also, things about the QR code. It is important to consider the destination of where users end up. Does the QR code direct kids to a page with automatic collection? Companies should think through the flow and determine at what points in the flow PII may be collected. With the QR code itself, it's important to be mindful of what's considered PII when creating the QR code. Also, be mindful about placing QR codes in child-directed spaces. And companies need to be careful about what they're adding to their URL and QR code to ensure that it remains COPPA compliant. And when products contain QR codes, as featured on the back of Barry's Very Snacks, it's best practice to include the website URL right below the QR code on the product packaging. This gives parents the opportunity to visit the website and review the official rules and privacy policy prior to scanning the code, which may or may not have privacy implications for them or their children. Now, let's turn our attention to Barry's website on the right side of the screen. We covered the claim substantiation issues a few slides back, so we're going to focus on the bottom half of the screen where we see more information about the social media contest. And this is where we'll dive into the issues with the sweepstakes itself. So we see here to enter into the social media contest, you must 1, scan the QR code, 2, like a post, comment, and tag 3 of your friends, and 3, share this post to your story. And as you've guessed, there is a lot of information missing here. For starters, is purchase necessary? Does scanning the QR code require a purchase? It's not exactly clear from this giveaway. Barry is an influencer and content creator, so the FTC endorsement guides do apply. The FTC has made it clear that entries in exchange for mentions in social media creates a material connection between the promotion sponsor and the consumer. The burden falls on the brand to ensure that your giveaway requires consumer mentions, then the brand must also require users to disclose that such a material connection exists. According to the FTC's updated endorsement guides, hashtag sweepstakes alone is not a sufficiently clear disclosure to indicate that a post is incentivized by a sweepstakes promotion. The FTC instead recommends that the name of the brand or product be included in the disclosure, for example, hashtag brand or hashtag brand name sweepstakes. And remember, it must be clear to children. There's also a few cross-promotional aspects to consider. It's important to remember that if you conduct your event on a social media platform, you may be contractually required to adhere to specific terms and conditions, including to state in your event rules that the promotion is not sponsored or endorsed by the platform. And of course, this is in addition to the obvious issue of children under 13 being on social media. So next slide, please. All right, so we spent a lot of time questioning where the QR codes lead, and here we are. This is what users see after they scan the QR code. And immediately in large letters, we see upload your receipt. And it's like, wait, what? Where did that come from? Or I guess it's Virgin Alpha of the Sigma, you know? But since a receipt is required, it's clear that purchase is necessary. And this was not made clear during any of the live streams on the website or anywhere else. So not only would users not know to keep their receipt, this is also problematic because it's the first time we're learning about the purchase requirement. And as Deb mentioned earlier, it's important to remember that you cannot have purchase requirements in a sweepstakes without an alternative method of entry. Oh my God, that's a ton. Now let's take a look at the receipt verification flow on the right side of the screen. As we see, there is an excessive amount of collection of PII. We're requesting first and last name and email address. And as Deb mentioned, COPPA does not allow for this excessive amount of collection. And at most, we should only be asking for first name and email. Underneath the receipt upload photo, we also see that two of the boxes underneath that are pre-checked, which is a dark pattern or manipulative design element. The first box to get very fruit snacks news in your inbox is checked, and the box to affirm that you've read, understood, and agreed to the rules is officially checked. And since it's actually the first time that we're seeing the official rules, we have not had the pleasure of actually reviewing those. And important to remember that you cannot send marketing materials to children without BPC. As a best practice, we recommend not having that box at all when directing sweepstakes to kids because it's something that's really easy to run afoul of. We've covered a lot of information here, and so I am going to pass it over to Deb, and we're going to wrap this up in a cute little bow for you all with some key takeaways. Back to you, Deb.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So we have here some key takeaways. These are some of the do's and the don'ts. We'll probably go through these rather quickly, but don't worry, you can either take a screenshot or you will receive these when we send you the deck. But basically, do consider your audience and which laws and regulations apply. Consider whether you need to collect personal information and from whom. Do obtain verifiable parental consent if it's required under COPPA. Consider whether it is clear that your promotion is advertising. Use clear and concise language for children to understand the promotion, the prizes, the entry methods, etc. Also, consider whether your prizes are appropriate for children, and ensure you can substantiate all express and implied claims. Next slide, please. For some of the don'ts, don't collect too much personal information. Collect only what you need. Don't drive kids under 13 to social media sites that aren't intended for kids. Don't encourage social sharing without collecting verifiable parental consent. And don't encourage children to spend excessive time online or to develop unhealthy parasocial relationships. Don't use legalese or other language that is unclear to kids. And don't ask children under 13 to consent to receiving marketing or other promotional materials or emails. Next slide, please. We have a brief minute for a quick Q&A if anybody has any questions. please put them in the Q&A. I'm understanding the chat's disabled, so please put them in the Q&A box if you have any. Oh,
We do have a question. What about sweeps directed to parents, but during a kids show?
I guess, it depends on the context. You're saying it's directed to parents. I guess we would have to see, it could be considered a mixed audience. If it's during a kids show, Rashida said she'd like to answer the question. I think it all shakes down to what it really looks like, how it's who the advertisement is talking to. Is it clear that it's to parents only and that the parents should be entering? Or is it more like, cereal where the parents buy it, but that the kids are going to be the ones that are the main person that it's directed to? I think context would help here. It could be fine, but it also may only 18 can enter, but a child-friendly product. Well, I think, again, you'd have to consider whether you might have children under the age of 18 entering, and falsifying their age. I would say that a brand should be pretty careful about things like this. If you're advertising during children's media and it's a child-friendly product, I think, you'd probably want to err on the side of caution and make sure that your promotion is child-friendly. Rashida, did you have anything to add to that?
No, not I completely agree. Yeah, essentially, like you said, it just really depends on product, sweepstakes, and things like that. It's really as specific, use case specific. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Angela, if we didn't answer your question, please, we can talk offline. That's perfectly fine. So we really appreciate you joining us today. You can scan the QR codes to learn more about our pre-screen or COPPA Safe Harbor programs. You can also go to any of these websites or email us to get more information, bbbprograms.org/CARU to learn more about CARU, or you can reach out to us at info.caru@bbbnp.org. And we're here to help you walk through the process. And, Angela, if you have a specific case, that's what we're here for the pre-screen services to really get a better context and information about your specific sweepstakes or promotion so we could best guide you. And thank you very much for joining.
Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.